Have you ever felt like you're constantly running after people who don't seem to care? Have you ever given your time, energy, and emotions to someone only to feel ignored, unappreciated, or even used? It's a painful cycle, one where you keep trying, keep chasing, but the more you do, the further they drift away. And the worst part? In the process of holding on to them, you start losing yourself. But what if I told you that the problem isn't them? It's the act of chasing itself. What if the more you pursue people, the more they pull away, because chasing is rooted in neediness, and neediness destroys self-respect. The harder you try to make someone stay, the easier it becomes for them to leave. This is where Stoicism teaches us one of the most powerful lessons in life. You cannot control others, only yourself. The moment you shift your focus from seeking approval to self-mastery, everything changes. You stop begging for attention. You stop seeking validation. Instead, you become the person that others naturally gravitate towards. Not because you chase them, but because you are complete on your own. So how do you stop chasing and start finding yourself? How do you break free from this toxic cycle and step into a life of confidence, clarity, and inner peace? Let's dive into 5 powerful steps that will completely transform your mindset and your life. One of the biggest reasons people chase others, whether in friendships, relationships, or even at work, is because they don't fully understand their own worth. They believe that their value comes from external validation. They think, if they like me, I must be valuable. If they ignore me, I must not be good enough. This mindset is dangerous because it places your self-worth in the hands of people who may not even recognize your value. But let's take a step back and ask an important question. What determines your worth? Is it the number of people who like you? The attention you receive? Or is it something much deeper? The ancient Stoics, especially Epictetus, taught that your value is something internal, not external. It is not measured by how others treat you, but by how you treat yourself. If you are constantly seeking validation, it means you have not yet validated yourself. And if you do not respect yourself first, you are opening the door for others to disrespect you too. Let's take an example. Imagine 2 people. Person A is always desperate for approval. They say yes to everything, even when they don't want to. They tolerate mistreatment just to feel accepted. They feel like they are not enough unless someone else tells them they are. Person B knows their worth. They do not beg for attention or try to prove themselves to others. They respect themselves, set boundaries, and walk away from those who don't value them. Who do you think will be treated with more respect? Who do you think will have more meaningful relationships? The answer is obvious. Person B. Self-worth is not given. It is claimed. And the first step to breaking free from the cycle of chasing people is to stop waiting for others to validate you. The illusion of validation. Many people believe that once they receive approval from a specific person or group, they will finally feel good about themselves. But here's the truth. External validation is a bottomless pit. No matter how much approval you get, it will never be enough if you don't already believe in your own worth. It's like trying to fill a broken cup with water. It will always leak out. That's why some people receive compliments, attention, and even love, but still feel empty inside, because deep down, they don't believe they deserve it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." This means that your value is determined by who you are and what you strive to become, not by how others see you. If your ambition is to be loved by everyone, you will constantly chase people. But if your ambition is to be the best version of yourself, you will naturally attract the right people, those who truly appreciate you. How to stop seeking external validation. So how do you break free from this need for external approval? Here are 3 powerful mindset shifts. Realize that not everyone's opinion matters. Imagine you're walking through a crowded street. Some people look at you with admiration, some don't notice you at all, and some might judge you. But does that change who you are? Number The opinions of others are just reflections of their own perspectives, not the truth about you. Stop giving strangers, or even certain friends or family members, the power to define your worth. Validate yourself. First, instead of thinking, "I hope they like me," shift your mindset to, "Do I like myself?" Before seeking respect from others, ask yourself, "Do I respect myself?" The moment you truly appreciate your own value, you will no longer crave constant validation from others. Accept that rejection is not a reflection of your worth. Many people fear rejection because they think it means they're not good enough. But rejection simply means you weren't the right fit for that person, job, or situation. Instead of seeing rejection as a personal failure, see it as redirection, a way to guide you toward people and opportunities that truly align with you. The power of walking away. One of the strongest signs of self-worth is the ability to walk away from situations that do not serve you. If someone does not respect your presence, give them the gift of your absence. If a friendship or relationship requires you to constantly chase, then it is not a real connection. It is an illusion. Think about it. Have you ever seen a truly high-value person begging for attention? The answer is no, because they don't need to. Their presence itself commands respect. And the reason for that is simple. They know their worth. Final thoughts on step 1. Understanding your worth is not about arrogance. It's about self-respect. It's about realizing that you do not need to run after people to prove your value. The moment you start valuing yourself, the world around you will change. You will stop chasing, stop begging, and stop settling. And instead, you will start attracting the right people effortlessly, because confidence and self-respect are magnetic. Now that you understand your worth, the next step is crucial: setting healthy boundaries. Because without boundaries, even the strongest self-worth can be destroyed. Understanding your worth is the foundation, but if you don't protect it, others will continue to take advantage of you. That's where boundaries come in. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about teaching people how to treat you. Most people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear losing relationships. They think, if I say no, they might leave. If I stand up for myself, they might get upset. But here's the truth. The only people who get angry when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. If someone walks away just because you refuse to be used, was that relationship really worth keeping? Why boundaries are so important. Think of boundaries as a protective shield. Without them, people will drain your energy, disrespect your time, and take you for granted. But with boundaries, you create healthy relationships built on mutual respect, not obligation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And what affects your thoughts the most? The people you allow into your life. If you surround yourself with people who drain you, disrespect you, or manipulate you, your mind will be filled with negativity and self-doubt. But if you create strong boundaries, you will attract respectful, supportive, and uplifting people. How to identify weak boundaries. You might think, I already have boundaries. But do you? Here are some signs that your boundaries might be too weak. You feel guilty saying no. You tolerate disrespect because you don't want to cause conflict. You constantly put others' needs before your own, even when it drains you. You let people walk all over you and then feel resentful later. You fear rejection if you assert yourself. If any of these sound familiar, don't worry. You can change this today. Setting boundaries is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned and mastered. How to set strong boundaries without feeling guilty. Let's break it down into 3 powerful steps. Identify your limits. What behaviors drain you the most? What are you no longer willing to tolerate? What kind of relationships do you truly deserve? Take time to reflect on these questions. If you don't know your limits, others will set them for you, and it will always be in their favor, not yours. Communicate clearly and calmly. Many people think setting boundaries means being rude or aggressive, but it doesn't have to be. You can be firm yet respectful. Example: instead of saying, "Stop treating me like this," say, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. If it continues, I will remove myself from the situation." Instead of saying, "I can't help you," say, "I would love to help, but I have other priorities right now." You don't owe anyone long explanations. A simple, calm statement is enough. Enforce your boundaries with action. A boundary is meaningless if you don't enforce it. If someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, follow through with consequences. Consequences. If you said you would walk away, walk away. If you said you wouldn't tolerate something, stand by your words. This is the hardest part, but it is also the most powerful. When people see that you are serious about your standards, they will either respect you more or leave your life. Either way, you win. Why boundaries make you more attractive and respected? Have you ever noticed that people respect those who command respect? The moment you set clear boundaries, you naturally become more attractive, not just in dating, but in all areas of life. At work, colleagues and bosses respect you because they see you as someone with self-respect and discipline. In friendships, your real friends appreciate you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. In relationships, you attract partners who genuinely value and respect you, rather than those who just take from you. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that being overly available and saying yes to everything will make people like them more. But the reality is the opposite. When you overgive, people start taking you for granted. But when you respect yourself enough to say no, they start respecting you too. The power of walking away. Imagine this. You're at a job where your boss constantly overworks and underpays you. You feel exhausted, but you're afraid to speak up because you don't want to lose your job. One day, you decide enough is enough. You set a boundary. You let your boss know that you will no longer work unpaid overtime. At first, your boss gets angry. But when they see that you are serious, something incredible happens. They start respecting your time more. And if they don't, you find a better job. This is the power of boundaries. It filters out those who don't respect you and strengthens your relationships with those who do. Final thoughts on step 2. Setting boundaries is not about being selfish, it's about self-respect. The people who truly value you will respect your boundaries, while the wrong people will leave. And that's a good thing. You do not need to chase people. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect and mistreatment, you will start attracting the right people, the right opportunities, and the right relationships into your life. Now that you've learned how to set strong boundaries, it's time to move to step 3, where we will talk about detaching from outcomes and letting go of control, one of the most powerful lessons in Stoicism. Now that you've learned to set boundaries, the next step is one of the most powerful lessons in Stoicism: detachment from outcomes. Most people suffer not because of what happens to them, but because of their expectations. They want things to go a certain way. They want people to act a certain way. They want life to be fair. But here's the truth. You cannot control other people, and you cannot control everything in life. What you can control, however, is your reaction, and that is where your power lies. The source of suffering: attachment to outcomes. Think about this. Have you ever wanted something so badly that you became obsessed with the result? Maybe it was a relationship, a job opportunity, or approval from someone. You did everything right, you put in the effort, you gave your best, and then it didn't work out. What happened next? You felt frustrated, heartbroken, or betrayed. You kept replaying scenarios in your head, thinking about what you could have done differently. You felt like you lost control over your own life. This is what happens when you tie your happiness to an external outcome. And this is why detachment is so powerful. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Some things are up to us and some things are not. The sooner we accept this, the sooner we find peace." When you detach from outcomes, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. You become emotionally unshakable because your happiness no longer depends on something you can't control. What detachment really means, and what it doesn't. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you give up. Instead, it means you focus on the process, not the result. Instead of obsessing over whether someone likes you, focus on being your best self. Instead of worrying about whether you'll get the job, focus on giving your best effort. Instead of fearing failure, focus on what you can learn from every experience. This mindset shift will change your life. It will make you calmer, more confident, and more resilient. How to let go of control and detach from outcomes. Here are 3 steps to mastering detachment in your life. Recognize what's in your control and what isn't. You cannot control if someone likes you back. You cannot control if an opportunity works out. You cannot control how other people treat you. You can control your actions, your attitude, and how you respond. Whenever you feel frustrated, ask yourself, am I stressing over something I can't control? If the answer is yes, let it go. Stop overthinking and trust the process. Many people ruin their own peace by overanalyzing everything. They think, what if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I'm not good enough? But overthinking won't change the outcome, it only makes you anxious. Instead of obsessing over what might happen, focus on the present moment. Do your best, and trust that whatever happens is what was meant to happen. Embrace the mindset of amor fati. The Stoics believed in a concept called amor fati, which means love of fate. It means you accept everything that happens, good or bad, as part of your journey. Instead of resisting life, you flow with it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not waste time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Don't waste time wishing things were different. Accept reality and move forward. The power of letting go. Imagine you apply for your dream job. You prepare for weeks. You give your best effort in the interview, and then you don't get it. Most people would feel devastated. They would question themselves. They would feel like a failure. But a Stoic mindset is different. A Stoic would think, I did everything in my control. If this opportunity wasn't meant for me, something better will come. And guess what? A few weeks later, a better opportunity appears. This is the power of letting go. When you release your attachment to outcomes, you allow life to bring you what's truly meant for you. Why detachment makes you more powerful. You become fearless because failure no longer scares you. You become calm because you no longer stress over things you can't control. You become attractive because confidence comes from trusting yourself and life. People who chase validation, approval, and control always seem anxious, needy, and insecure. But people who let go and trust the process seem powerful, magnetic, and unstoppable. Final thoughts on step 3. Letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate form of strength. When you detach from outcomes, you free yourself from suffering. You stop chasing people, success, and approval, and instead you start attracting them effortlessly. Once you detach from outcomes, the next step is to build yourself up. Many people spend their lives chasing external validation because they lack inner strength. They need approval to feel worthy. They need distractions to avoid facing their weaknesses. But the path of Stoicism teaches that true power comes from within, and this power is built through self-discipline. If you want to stop chasing people, stop feeling lost, and truly find yourself, you must develop mental, emotional, and physical discipline. This is how you become unshakable. The illusion of external strength versus true inner strength. Most people think strength means looking tough, being successful, or having control over others. But Stoicism teaches a different truth. True strength is not about power over others. It's about power over yourself. A strong person does not need validation. They are content with who they are. A disciplined mind is unbreakable, while an undisciplined mind is a slave to emotions and impulses. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The problem is that most people are ruled by their desires. They chase pleasure, avoid discomfort, and let emotions control them. But if you want to be free, you must develop self-discipline. Why self-discipline is the key to freedom. Many people think discipline is restrictive. but in reality, it is the ultimate form of freedom. A disciplined mind is free from anxiety and overthinking. A disciplined body is free from laziness and weakness. A disciplined life is free from regret and wasted potential. When you have self-discipline, you don't need to chase people, happiness, or success. Instead, you become the kind of person who naturally attracts them. How to cultivate inner strength through self-discipline. Here are 3 powerful ways to build unshakable inner strength. Master your emotions. Most people react to life. They let emotions like anger, fear, and sadness control them. But a Stoic person chooses how to respond. Practice emotional discipline by observing your emotions without acting on them immediately. When you feel triggered, pause and ask, is this emotion controlling me, or am I controlling it? Develop mental toughness. Train yourself to do hard things. Read difficult books, challenge your own beliefs, and expose yourself to discomfort. Avoid easy dopamine, excess social media, junk food, and meaningless entertainment. Strengthen your body and mind daily. A weak body leads to a weak mind. Exercise daily, eat clean, and push yourself physically. Meditate, journal, and practice self-reflection. When you master yourself, you stop seeking strength from others. Instead, you become your own source of power. The transformation from weakness to strength. Imagine 2 people. Person A lacks discipline. They spend hours scrolling on their phone, avoiding challenges, and seeking validation from others. They constantly feel lost, anxious, and insecure. Person B has trained themselves. They wake up early, exercise, read, and work on their goals every day. They don't chase people because they are too busy improving themselves. Who do you think will have a better life? Who do you think will be respected, successful, and at peace? The answer is obvious. Final thoughts on step 4. Self-discipline is the foundation of personal power. When you build yourself up, you don't need validation, distractions, or approval. You become so strong that nothing can break you. One of the greatest mistakes people make is trying to control everything around them, how others perceive them, how relationships unfold, and how life should go according to their expectations. This obsessive need for control leads to frustration, disappointment, and a sense of helplessness. However, a Stoic mindset teaches us that true strength and peace come not from controlling external circumstances, but from mastering our own responses, living with a clear sense of purpose, and surrendering to what we cannot change. The moment you stop trying to force life to go your way, and instead focus on your own actions, thoughts, and purpose, everything shifts. This is the final step toward true freedom. Living with purpose while letting go of unnecessary attachments and illusions of control. People often chase relationships, approval, and success without ever pausing to ask themselves what they truly want. They spend years trying to fit into societal molds, believing that if they can just win the validation of others, they will feel fulfilled. But external validation is fleeting. The only validation that truly matters is the one you give yourself. Without a strong sense of personal purpose, you will always be at the mercy of external influences, bending and shifting to please others. Instead of chasing meaningless connections and empty pursuits, it is time to live with intentionality. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of life do I want to build? What legacy do I want to leave behind? These questions are the foundation of purpose-driven living. Finding purpose is not about waiting for some grand revelation or a perfectly laid out path. It is about taking action. Many people sit back and wait for their purpose to appear, but the reality is that purpose is built, not discovered. You must experiment, explore, and engage with the world to uncover what excites and fulfills you. Start by reflecting on your strengths. What are you naturally good at? What activities bring you the most joy? Then, think about how you can use these strengths to contribute to something greater than yourself. Purpose is not just about self-fulfillment, it is about service. How your unique abilities can positively impact the world around you. When you commit to a purpose, everything else in life becomes clearer. You no longer waste energy on trivial matters or relationships that drain you. Instead, you focus on what genuinely aligns with your values and aspirations. A person with a strong sense of purpose is not easily swayed by the opinions of others because they know where they are headed. This is why purpose-driven individuals attract the right people and opportunities effortlessly. They radiate confidence and clarity, which draws others who resonate with their mission. This is a stark contrast to those who live without purpose, constantly seeking external validation to fill the void inside them. But living with purpose is only half of the equation. The other half is learning to let go of what you cannot control. The more you try to manipulate outcomes, force people to stay in your life, or make everything align with your expectations, the more exhausted and anxious you will feel. This is because control is largely an illusion. The Stoics understood this deeply. As Epictetus famously said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within your control, and some things are not. Once you internalize this, you gain true power. You stop wasting energy on things beyond your reach, and instead channel your efforts toward what you can influence: your mindset, your actions, and your reactions. Think about how much time and energy people waste worrying about things they have no control over. They stress about what others think of them, whether someone will like them back, or if a situation will unfold the way they want. This constant anxiety creates suffering. But what if, instead of resisting life, you started flowing with it? Imagine the freedom of knowing that no matter what happens, you are okay because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes your way. This mindset shift is life-changing. Obvious. Final thoughts on step 4. Self-discipline is the foundation of personal power. When you build yourself up, you don't need validation, distractions, or approval. You become so strong that nothing can break you. One of the greatest mistakes people make is trying to control everything around them: how others perceive them, how relationships unfold, and how life should go according to their expectations. This obsessive need for control leads to frustration, disappointment, and a sense of helplessness. However, a Stoic mindset teaches us that true strength and peace come not from controlling external circumstances, but from mastering our own responses, living with a clear sense of purpose, and surrendering to what we cannot change. The moment you stop trying to force life to go your way, and instead focus on your own actions, thoughts, and purpose, everything shifts. This is the final step toward true freedom, living with purpose while letting go of unnecessary attachments and illusions of control. People often chase relationships, approval, and success without ever pausing to ask themselves what they truly want. They spend years trying to fit into societal molds, believing that if they can just win the validation of others, they will feel fulfilled. But external validation is fleeting. The only validation that truly matters is the one you give yourself. Without a strong sense of personal purpose, you will always be at the mercy of external influences, bending and shifting to please others. Instead of chasing meaningless connections and empty pursuits, it is time to live with intentionality. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of life do I want to build? What legacy do I want to leave behind? These questions are the foundation of purpose-driven living. Finding purpose is not about waiting for some grand revelation or a perfectly laid out path. It is about taking action. Many people sit back and wait for their purpose to appear, but the reality is that purpose is built, not discovered. You must experiment, explore, and engage with the world to uncover what excites and fulfills you. Start by reflecting on your strengths. What are you naturally good at? What activities bring you the most joy? Then, think about how you can use these strengths to contribute to something greater than yourself. Purpose is not just about self-fulfillment, it is about service. How your unique abilities can positively impact the world around you. When you commit to a purpose, everything else in life becomes clearer. You no longer waste energy on trivial matters or relationships that drain you. Instead, you focus on what genuinely aligns with your values and aspirations. A person with a strong sense of purpose is not easily swayed by the opinions of others because they know where they are headed. This is why purpose-driven individuals attract the right people and opportunities effortlessly. They radiate confidence and clarity, which draws others who resonate with their mission. This is a stark contrast to those who live without purpose, constantly seeking external validation to fill the void inside them. But living with purpose is only half of the equation. The other half is learning to let go of what you cannot control. The more you try to manipulate outcomes, force people to stay in your life, or make everything align with your expectations, the more exhausted and anxious you will feel. This is because control is largely an illusion. The Stoics understood this deeply. As Epictetus famously said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within your control, and some things are not. Once you internalize this, you gain true power. You stop wasting energy on things beyond your reach, and instead channel your efforts toward what you can influence: your mindset, your actions, and your reactions. Think about how much time and energy people waste worrying about things they have no control over. They stress about what others think of them, whether someone will like them back, or if a situation will unfold the way they want. This constant anxiety creates suffering. But what if, instead of resisting life, you started flowing with it? Imagine the freedom of knowing that no matter what happens, you are okay because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes your way. This mindset shift is life-changing.